Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 6, entitled The Conversation Between Srila Narad Muni and Sri Vyasadeva. Text 11. Spītāņjanapadaṃstatra puragrāmavrajakaraन् Khetakharvata vanānyupavanāni ca. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Narad Muni continued, After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests. Purport. Man's activities in agriculture, mining, farming, industries, gardening, etc. were all on the same scale as they are now, even previous to the present creation, and the same activities will remain as they are even in the next creation. After many hundreds of millions of years, one creation is started by the law of nature, and the history of the universe repeats itself practically in the same way. The mundane wranglers waste time with archaeological excavations without searching into the vital necessities of life. After getting an impetus in spiritual life, Sri Narad Muni, even though a mere child, did not waste time for a single moment with economic development, although he passed towns and villages, mines and industries. He continually went on to progressive spiritual emancipation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the repetition of history which happened some hundreds of millions of years ago. As it is said herein, only the most important factors of history are picked up to be recorded in this transcendental literature. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, in the previous session, we had seen how Narad Muni had got initiated from his spiritual masters, the Bhakti Vedantas, the pure devotees of the Lord, and he had developed attachment towards them because of their association. Even though he was just a 5-year-old boy in his past life, he had developed spiritual taste, and he had also attained transcendental knowledge and detachment. And when his mother passed away because of snake bite, he did not feel sorry at all. Instead, he thought that it is a great blessing by the Lord that he does not have to remain attached to his material relationships. Instead, he could actually pursue the spiritual path as per the knowledge and guidance given by the pure devotees. So he considered that situation created by the Lord as a anugraha, as a merciful intervention by the Lord. Now, this is what happens when one actually receives transcendental knowledge from a bona fide spiritual master. When one receives transcendental knowledge, one begins to see his life situations from a different point of view. One does not get carried away by temporary material situations and attachments, but one fixes his mind on the devotional service of the Lord. So even though he was just a 5-year-old boy, he became very attached to the process of bhakti, to the process of Krishna consciousness. So he is continuing to narrate what exactly happened in his past life after that. So he started towards the north. This is what we had discussed in the previous shloka. Narad Muni started walking towards the north. When I say Narad Muni, it means in his past life as a boy, Narada, son of a maid servant. This we have discussed in detail in the previous session. So after his mother passed away, he started traveling towards the north, towards Himalayas, in search of self realization. So in this verse that we read just now, let us try to understand the meaning. Pitan Janapadam Statra Puragrama Vrajakaran Keta Karvata Vatischa Vanani Upavanani Cha. So when Narada, the boy, started walking towards the northern direction, what all did he encounter? What all did he see? That is described here. Spitan means very flourishing. Janapadan. Janapadan means uh, nice metropolitan cities which are populated with huge number of people. That is Janapadam. Puragrama. Pura means towns. Grama means villages. So Janapada, it's like a well flourished city, and Pura means a town, and village means a rural village. A grama is a rural village. And then Vraja, Vraja means big farms. Akaran means mineral fields, mines. Kheta means agricultural lands. Karvata means valleys, mountain valleys. Vatihi means Vatika, that is flower gardens or parks. Vanani means forests. Upavanani means nursery gardens. So different varieties of places. Narad Muni, I mean, in his past life as Narada boy, he traveled. He passed through different kinds of places, which are all full of human habitation. So what did he come across? Flourishing metropolises, that is cities, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, that is farms, and then valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests. So, all these different kinds of places the boy traveled through. That means he went through different kinds of places. He must have also met different kinds of people on the way. In one of the verses previously, Narad Muni had told that as a boy, I was just a 5-year-old boy. I was always at home and I was always under the care and affection of my mother. I had no practical knowledge of this world. This we had discussed in the previous session. And here, this boy who had no practical knowledge, who had no exposure to the outside world, is now all alone. He is traveling through different kinds of places. So that is the nature of this material world. We all come alone to this material world, and during our life journey, we meet different kinds of people, some of them who are called as our relatives and our friends, our near and dear ones. But at the end, when we have to give up this body, we have to actually uh, go back alone, isn't it? We come alone and we have to go alone. But during this journey of life, we become attached to several people, we become attached to various possessions that we acquire during our lifetime. But when we are going after death, we cannot ask anybody to accompany us. We cannot take even a single penny with us. That's the harsh reality of this material world. This we have to understand. We have come alone, we will be going alone. So, our only constant uh, acquaintance, our constant uh, friend who is companion, constant companion is the Paramatma in the heart. The Lord who is seated in our heart, He is accompanying us in every lifetime, whether we are born in lower species, animals, plants, or whether we are born as humans or as demigods, or whatever form of life we take. In every form of life, in every lifetime, the Paramatma is constantly seated within our heart as our constant companion, and He is guiding our wanderings. And in human form of life, it's an opportunity for us to develop relationship with the Paramatma, with the Lord in the heart. Unfortunately, because we are not spiritually trained, people in Kali Yuga are not spiritually trained. Not only in Kali Yuga, generally in this material world, people are more interested in developing relationships with people around them for their own sense enjoyment. But they forget the constant companion, the Lord, who is seated within their own hearts. So, this is the greatest tragedy in human life. Even after getting human form of life, if we do not try to develop relationship with the Lord who is seated within our heart, instead we are busy making uh, friendship and relationships with people around us so that with a hope that they will provide more and more enjoyment and satisfaction and enjoyment for our senses. So that is the greatest tragedy in human form of life. That is what is mentioned in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Parabhavastavad abodha jato yavanna jignyasata atmatattvam. As long as a human being does not inquire about Atma Tattva, about the knowledge pertaining to the soul and the super soul and Bhagavan, then all his attempts in human form of life are called as Parabhava. Parabhava means defeat. It is only defeat. Parabhavastavad abodha jato yavan na jignyasata atma tattvam. Human life is actually meant for jignyasa, inquiry about Atma Tattva, about our relationship with Krishna. As long as we don't worry about this, but instead keep ourselves busy with so many other jignyasas, material jignyasas, then our life is actually considered to be a defeat. Therefore, we, in the beginning of Bhagavatam class, we chant this prayer. Tato Jayam Udirayet. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Jaya means the opposite of Parabhava, opposite of defeat, that is victory. How to gain victory in our human form of life? That is what this great literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, tells us. Bhagavatam is teaching us through several case studies like that of Narada that we should not be attracted simply to the material relationships pertaining to this body, but as human being, we should make an attempt through the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. We should make an attempt to revive our forgotten relationship with our eternal companion and well-wisher Krishna, who is seated right in our heart. That is the beginning of Jaya, victory of human form of life. Instead of trying to develop relationship with Krishna, if we try to develop relationship with everybody else, we will simply be frustrated because ultimately all these relationships are temporary, they are short-lived, and they're all based on uh, sense gratificatory transactions. Nobody will become your friend in this world unless that person has some benefit from you. You scratch my back, I will scratch yours. That is the kind of relationships in the material world. So, therefore, one must become intelligent through these lessons of Bhagavatam that we must, apart from having material relationships, we must give priority, topmost priority, to our eternal relationship with Krishna. And that eternal relationship with Krishna we cannot achieve unless we become connected with the pure devotee spiritual master. The spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. Therefore, we have to develop relationship with Srila Prabhupada, by whose mercy we can actually enter into the loving relationship with Krishna. So here Narad Muni is telling that even as a boy, I was just a 5 year old boy in my past life, and I had no practical experience of the outside world. And once my mother passed away, I was all alone. There was nobody. Therefore, I started walking towards the Himalayas. Why he started walking towards the Himalayas? Because he had spiritual transcendental knowledge that he had gained from the pure devotees by their association during the 4 months of Chaturmasya. Therefore, he had developed sufficient detachment. Therefore, he had developed the perfect spiritual vision of seeing the death of his mother as an arrangement of the Supreme Lord. He did not become sorry because of his mother's death. So he went all alone, traveling through different kinds of places like towns, villages, farms, mines, etc. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that just like we see in the present day world, we have cities, we have villages, we have farmlands, we have gardens, and so many other things. Similarly, in the past, also these things were existing. It is not that only now they were existing and in the past it was not there. And mind you, what Narad Muni is telling about his past life, it belongs to a previous kalpa, not this present kalpa. This we have also discussed in the previous session. So that means some hundreds of millions of years ago, whatever creation was there in this material world, whatever types of living entities, types of places, types of people were existing, even now they are existing in the same way. That means Lord Brahma does the secondary creation within the universe according to the blueprint that he has received from the Supreme Lord. So the real creation is actually done by the Supreme Lord, and Brahma does only the secondary creation. He just follows the prototype or the blueprint given by the Supreme Lord to him through the Vedic knowledge. So therefore, Prabhupada is making another interesting point here. The history of the universe repeats itself practically in the same way. Now, according to our Vedic cosmology, the time travels in a cyclic manner. It is not, time is not a linear movement, whereas time repeats itself periodically. It's a cyclic way. Everything repeats itself. We have a saying also, right? History repeats itself. So it's the same thing that is happening again and again, isn't it? It's nothing new. But Prabhupada is saying the mundane wranglers waste time with archaeological excavations without searching into the vital necessities of life. So a lot of importance is given by the historians to dig and find, excavate some remnants of the past civilizations of the world. So when they find in the Indus Valley civilization, they have found various day-to-day items that they used to use in their daily life, like clay pottery, seals, and many such things. So people get so much excited about it. Oh, this is how our ancestors were living. Oh, they were having this clay pots. Oh, they were using this kind of water jugs. Oh, they used to have this well-planned roads. They had a public bath. All these things we have studied in our history books. So, yes, it's interesting to note that in the past how people were living, organizing their lives in a civilized manner. But there is nothing wonderful about it because we are already seeing such a thing now also, and in the past also, there have been such things. Now, what we should actually be interested in, of course, there is nothing wrong to study our history. There is nothing wrong in studying archaeological remnants of the past. But what is more important is who we are. What is the purpose of our life? Why do we exist? If we are not worried about these things, simply we are interested in archaeological excavations, then the purpose of human life is defeated. Parabhava. It's not wrong to study history, it's not wrong to study the archaeological evidences of the past, but mainly, most important thing is we have to understand who we are, why we exist in this material world, why miseries are coming in our life. How do we get out of this material miseries? If we are not interested in this search of the absolute truth, then our human life is simply a waste of time. So that is what is mentioned here in the purport. So let's go to the next shloka, text 12. For those who joined us just now, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, sixth chapter, conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, 12th shloka. So we are hearing the descriptions of Narad Muni about his past life. In reply to the question that Vyasadeva asked, what did he do after getting initiated from his spiritual master? What happened to him in his past life? How did he achieve the perfectional stage of becoming Narad Muni, a pure devotee of the Lord? That was the question asked by Vyasadeva, and Narad Muni is narrating all those incidents. Text 12. Chitradhatu vichitradin इभ भग्न भुजद्रुमान् जलाशयान् शिवजलान् नलिनी सुरसेविताः चित्रस्वनैः पत्ररतैः विभ्रमद्भ्रमरश्रियः. Translation by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Narad Muni continued, I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. So Narad Muni is saying, what all did he see after that? In the previous shloka we saw, he said he passed through Vana, Upavana, he passed through Pura, Grama, and Janapada, all these things, cities, towns, villages. He passed through gardens, he passed through, mountains, valleys, rivers, forests, and all of that. Now, after this, he's saying, what all did he see while he was traveling towards the northern direction? Chitra Dhatu Vichitra Dream. Chitra Dhatu. Dhatu means minerals. Chitra means of various kinds, different types, gold, silver, and copper. Valuable minerals like gold, silver, and copper, Chitra Dhatu. And then Vichitra. Vichitra means full of variegatedness, full of varieties. Hmm? Different kinds of Adreen. Adri means hills and mountains. Adreen. And then Ibha Bhagna. Ibha means elephant, Bhagna means broken. Ibha Bhagna, broken by the giant elephants. What were broken? Bhuja Druman. Druma means trees, Bhuja means branches. The branches of various trees which were broken by giant elephants were also seen by the boy Narada. Jalashayan Shiva Jalan. Shiva means auspicious or healthy. Jalashayan means water bodies, waterfalls, water bodies especially. So Jalan means water, reservoirs of water. So he saw different kinds of water bodies, lakes and rivers and waterfalls full of health giving water. Nalinihi. Nalini means lotus flowers. Surasevitaha means aspired by the denizens of heaven. So even heavenly denizens, heavenly devatas would come to such places for sporting. In Bhagavatam and in other Vedic scriptures, you will find description where even the heavenly devatas sometimes come to this earthly planet, especially to places of scenic beauty, to for sporting, for water sports especially. So he's saying here, Sura Sevitaha. I saw those places which are filled with water and lotus flowers and beautiful scenic beauty, and which even the devatas would come and enjoy. Such places I have seen, I saw in my past life. Chitrasvanaihi means pleasing to the heart. Patra rathaihi. Patra ratha means the birds. The birds who have wings, who fly. Patra means wings, who fly with their wings. Vibhramat. Vibhramat means bewildering. Bhramara Shriyaha. Bhramara means bumblebees. Shriyaha, decorated by. So he says that as I pass through the hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. That means he's describing the flora and fauna of the nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a beautiful verse. Krishna says in the 10th chapter, towards the end, he says, Yadyad vibhutimat sattvam Srimadurjitam evava tattadevava gachatvam mama tejomsha sambhavam. Krishna says, whenever you see beautiful things in this world, in nature, immediately you should remember that all these things are made possible by by a fragment of Krishna's power. All this, what we are seeing here in the material world, is just an insignificant fragment of Krishna's energy, Krishna's power. So when materialistic people see the beauty of nature, they think how to enjoy this beauty for themselves. That is the material vision. How to exploit the resources of nature so that one can enjoy all the bounties of nature. When a devotee sees the nature, he does not think in that way. He thinks from a spiritual angle. He thinks that how beautiful is this creation of the Lord. And all this creation is coming because of a fragment, a very small, insignificant fragment of Krishna's unlimited power. These are all vibhuti of Krishna. Vibhuti means the opulence of Krishna. Prabhupada gives an example. Just like, suppose there is a mother at home and the child has gone to the school. And after the mother, sends the child to the school at home, now she's sitting at home and now she's seeing the various uh, objects used by the child, probably the toys with which the child would play every day, or the different clothes that the child is using every day. The mother is, cleaning the house and she's coming across all these items used by the child, clothes and toys and all of that. Now, as soon as the mother sees all of these items used by the child, she actually at once she is reminded of her son or daughter, her child, because she is so much loving the child out of affection, she's actually not seeing the toys used by the child. Through the toys, she is actually seeing her child. That means anything connected with the child at once evokes remembrance of the child in the mind of the mother. That is because she is so much attached, she is so much affectionate towards the child. In the same way, when a devotee sees anything in this material world, when he sees, when he sees fragrant flowers, when he sees the beautiful sky, when he sees waterfalls, when he sees any natural beauty in this world, immediately the devotee remembers, oh, these are all coming from Krishna. How beautiful is Krishna's creation. This is how a devotee thinks. This is called perfect vision. This is called spiritual vision. And this is possible only when one is in love with Krishna. If one does not have love towards Krishna, he will see all the material resources as simply an opportunity for self enjoyment. But when a devotee who is in love with Krishna, when he sees the natural resources and the creation, beautiful things in this material world, he simply remembers Krishna. How great is my Lord! Just by his wishing, this entire material existence has come into being, and there are so many beautiful things in this material world, and this is all Krishna's energy. This is how uh, you know a devotee thinks. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna requests Krishna, my dear Lord Krishna, can you please tell me how you are present in this material world through your opulences in this creation? In what all ways can I remember you in this material world? In what all forms can I meditate upon you? Like this, Arjuna is asking Krishna. And Krishna gives a list. This is called Vibhuti Yoga, the opulences of the Absolute. So Krishna says that, Sthavaranam cha Himalayaha. Among the Sthavara means immovable things. You should know that I am Himalaya. And among the, illuminating objects, I am the sun. And among the animals, you should know that I am the lion. Like this, Krishna gives a big list. That means for one who is spiritually trained, even the material things can remind one about Krishna. But if one is not trained spiritually, then whatever one may see, one will simply see it as an inert matter, as some phenomena. That's all. And generally, everybody sees things on the basis of how I can enjoy these things. That is the material vision. So, therefore, Bhagavad Gita teaches us that how we can see everything as connected with Krishna. That is the meaning of the saying, right? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Vasudha means this earth. This earth is a family, Kutumba. And the owner of this family is the proprietor, or the head of this family is Krishna. He is the proprietor. And in his family, there are varieties of living entities. There are not only human beings, there are birds, there are plants, reptiles, there are different kinds of living entities, there are plants. All these things actually belong to Krishna. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. So, there is a perfect vision. Everything belongs to Krishna. So, if we can develop this vision, then even though we are situated in the material world, we won't get affected by Maya. Our consciousness will always be spiritual. So that is what. So Narada, the boy in his past life, he saw all these things. There is a elaborate description. There are for some more things that the boy saw. Let us read that. Text 13. Nalavenu Sharastambha Kushakīchaka Eka Evātiyātoham Adraksham Vipinam Mahat Ghoram Pratibhayakaram Vyaloluka Shivajiram. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. Purport. It is the duty of a mendicant, Parivrajaka to experience all varieties of God's creation by traveling alone through all forests, hills, towns, villages, etc., to gain faith in God and strength of mind, as well as to enlighten the inhabitants with the message of God. A sannyasi is duty bound to take all these risks without fear, and the most typical sannyasi of the present age is Lord Chaitanya, who traveled in the same manner through the central Indian jungles, enlightening even the tigers, bears, snakes, deer, elephants, and many other jungle animals. In this age of Kali, sannyasa is forbidden for ordinary men. One who changes his dress to make propaganda is a different man from the original ideal sannyasi. One should, however, take the vow to stop social intercourse completely and devote life exclusively to the service of the Lord. The change of dress is only a formality. Lord Chaitanya did not accept the name of a sannyasi, and in this age of Kali, the so called sannyasis should not change their former names, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. In this age, devotional service of hearing and repeating the holy glories of the Lord is strongly recommended, and one who takes the vow of renunciation of family life need not imitate the Parivrajakacharya like Narada or Lord Chaitanya, but may sit down at some holy place and devote his whole time and energy to hear and repeatedly chant the holy scriptures left by the great acharyas like the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So, what are the different other things that the boy saw, Narada in his past life saw as he was traveling towards the northern direction? Nala Venu Sharaha. Nala means pipes, Venu means bamboo, Sharaha, pens, hmm, place where pigs are reared, they are called Sharaha, pens. Tanba means full of. Kusha means sharp grass. Kichaka means weeds, unwanted plants which grow on their own in the forest or in any land that's called kichaka, weeds. Gahvara means caves, guha, caves, dens. And then ekaha, alone, eva, only, atiyataha, difficult to go through. So he said, I went through all these different places even as a boy of 5 years old, and these were all very fearful places. Alone to go is not so easy, but somehow I was able to travel through all these places. So I saw these bamboos, I saw reeds, I saw sharp grass, I saw caves, and all of these things, and I traveled through all of them alone. And then, atiyataha, difficult to go through, aham, I, adraksham, I visited, I went through. Vipinam Mahat Ghoram. Vipina means deep forests. Hmm? Mahat means great. Ghoram, fearful. Pratibhaya Akaram, dangerously fearful. So Pratibhaya, hmm, very, very fearful, dangerous. Why they are dangerous? Why these Vipina, these great forests are very dangerous? Because there were Vyala. Vyala means snakes. Uluka. Uluka means owls. Shiva means jackals. Ajiram, playgrounds. So these were all playgrounds for fearful creatures like snakes, owls, and jackals. That's why it was pratibhaya. It was full of fear. Anyone will be afraid by seeing all these things. But I was able to travel all alone, even as a small boy. So this is definitely an adventurous account that Narad Muni is giving to Vyasadeva. So in the fifth canto of Bhagavatam, in the conversation between Jada Bharata and Maharaj Rahugana, there is a description of this material world as compared to a great forest of enjoyment. This material world itself is compared to a great forest. Mahat Vipinam, a great forest. In the olden days, merchants used to go to these forests so that they can get some valuable items from the forest, like honey, some minerals, some other articles, so that they can come to the cities and sell them for high profits. So, going to the forest is definitely a very risky thing because there are so many fearful animals there, and there may be some blind wells. You may not be able to see. The wells may be covered with grass, and you may step over it and fall into the well. And even if you shout out for rescue, nobody will be there to come and rescue you. That's the nature of the forest, isn't it? And sometimes the forest can also catch fire. That's called blazing forest fire, dhavanala. No. And sometimes there will be, you know, some mirages in the forest. It appears that there is water and you keep traveling for long distances. It's just an optical illusion. There will be no water at all. So, all such difficulties and complexities exist in a forest, and that is why this material world, also, which has all such difficulties and complications, are compared. This material world is compared to a great forest fire, to a great forest. Just like the merchants, out of greed to make more profits, enter the forest, even though it is risky for them, we have all left the safe place, that is spiritual world, which is our eternal home. We have left that space heaven, the the safest heaven, and we have entered into this material world out of greed and desire that we can enjoy independent of Krishna. But when we come to this material world, there are so many difficulties that we have to go through, and the difficulties are compared to mountains. And in return, the pleasure that Maya gives us is just like a mustard grain, a very small, insignificant pleasure. And to gain that pleasure, we are all working very hard day and night. That's our precarious situation in this great forest of material enjoyment, the material world. So, the chapter in that chapter which talks about the fifth canto, if you read that, it's very wonderful. Very many analogies are given there. And the final conclusion of that chapter is one must take exclusive shelter at the lotus feet of a pure devotee of the Lord who can help us get out of this great forest of material enjoyment. Every day we sing in the morning the Guru Ashtaka, Samsara Dhavanala Leedha Loka. So, this material world, our existence is like it is in the blazing forest fire. And Pranaya Karunya Ghana Ghanatvam. How can the forest fire be put off? Any amount of endeavor put by human beings to put off a forest fire, it's not going to be sufficient at all to put off that fire. Only when there is rain from the sky, huge quantity of water, when it falls, then the forest fire can be put off. Pranaya Karunya Ghana Ghanatvam. In the same way, it is the spiritual master who is like that rain bearing cloud, who showers the mercy from the spiritual world upon the jivas who are suffering in this material forest fire. Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya. So, how did the spiritual master get this mercy? Because he's connected with Gunarnava. He's connected with the ocean of wonderful qualities, that is Krishna. And from there, he showers forth mercy rain upon us. Then we can become free from the blazing forest fire of this material world. So, therefore, it is the duty of every human being If he wants to get out of the sufferings of this material world, he has to take shelter at the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Taking shelter of the spiritual master means agreeing to follow his instructions voluntarily. Then the spiritual master showers the mercy of Krishna upon us, and only then we can become free from the difficulties and miseries of this material existence and go back to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada writes in this purport about who is a Parivrajakaacharya. Parivrajakaacharya means the Acharya. Acharya means one who teaches by his personal example, by traveling all over the world. Parivraja means to travel. So a Parivrajakaacharya, he travels all over the world to experience all the varieties of creation made by God. So he travels alone to different places, to forests, to hills, towns, villages, etc. And what does he do by traveling? First of all, he stabilizes his own faith in God. Secondly, he also preaches the message of God consciousness to everybody. That is the uh, that is what a Parivrajaka does. He enlightens everybody about the message of Krishna consciousness. In the history, if we study the great acharyas like Sripada Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, all of them have traveled exclusively. So much of travel they have done. And they travel to enlighten people about spiritual knowledge. And in the modern age of Kali Yuga, about 500 years ago, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also traveled, extensively. And how did he travel? By barefoot, by walking. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled the entire South India, visited many holy places, and he, wherever he went, he performed Sankirtana, and by his Sankirtana, he inspired thousands and millions of people to take up the Sankirtana Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga, to take up the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And in one such travel, during his travel in the Jharikanda forest in central India, he was accompanied by one of the devotees, one of the uh, brahmachari devotees called Bhalabhadra Bhattacharya, and he was able to witness how Mahaprabhu, by his Sankirtana, he was able to inspire even the animals in the forest, the wild animals in the forest. They gave up their natural enmity and they chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and danced in ecstasy along with Mahaprabhu. So this miracle was seen by Bhalabhadra Bhattacharya, and later he told the other devotees how Mahaprabhu, his Sankirtana, can make even the animals sing and dance. Now that's the beauty of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtana movement. People who have animalistic propensities can also come and take shelter of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, chant the holy names of the Lord, give up their animalistic propensities, and they can awaken pure love of God just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that is the beauty of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtana movement. So this Sankirtana movement inaugurated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a great blessing for the suffering humanity in Kali Yuga. We are very fortunate that we are born in the first phase of Kali Yuga called the Golden Period. The first 10,000 years of Kali Yuga, in the scriptures it is called the Golden Period of Kali Yuga because the Golden Avatara, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, appeared and he created this opportunity for everybody to take up Krishna consciousness and perfect their lives. Dina Hina Jata Chila Harinama Uddharila Tara Sakshi Jagai Madhai. So in one of the Vaishnava songs, it is said, Dina Hina Jata Chila, even the lowest among human beings, those who are very, very sinful also, were delivered by the all compassionate Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, simply by making them chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And the greatest examples for this is Jagai and Madhai. Tara Sakshi, Jagai, Madhai. Jagai and Madhai, they were so very sinful, even though they were born in a very good cultured Brahmana family, but because of their bad association, they became fallen. They were engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. But they also received the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by through the recommendation of Nityananda Prabhu, who was a great devotee, he's a pure devotee of the Lord. So therefore, our position is also very similar to that only, to Jaga and Madhai. In fact, more fallen than Jaga and Madhai. But if we simply accept the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, beg Mahaprabhu's mercy, then we can also attain perfection of our life. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though he's a Supreme Lord himself, he accepted sannyas so that he can travel all across the country and deliver people by giving them Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because during that time, somebody who was wearing saffron dress, somebody who is recognized as a sannyasi, was actually respected in the human society. Therefore, Mahaprabhu thought, if I remain a grihastha, then people will not take me seriously. My mission will not be accomplished. Huh? So, therefore, I should do something so that people will respect me, so that they can receive my message and take up chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra seriously. See, this is how a pure devotee of the Lord thinks. A pure devotee of the Lord is not interested, okay, I should become successful in my life, I should become rich, I should become well accomplished, let others go to hell, I don't mind. That's not the mood of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is ready to sacrifice his personal comforts to enable others to come closer to Krishna. Now, this is the highest kind of worship. In fact, in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam, when Lord Shiva came forward to drink the halahala, the poison which was coming out of the Samudra Manthana, Lord Shiva makes this statement to Goddess Uma. He says, this is Parama Aradhanam of Hari. Why am I coming forward to drink this poison to protect the whole world? Because it is the nature of a great personality to take voluntarily accept sufferings for the sake of helping the entire world. And this is the highest Parama Aradhanam, Lord Shiva says. By doing this, I'm doing this not to show that I'm very powerful, I can consume poison and still be alive. No, that's not the idea. My idea is to please Hari, to please Krishna. I'm taking such a big risk. This is how a pure devotee thinks. If Prabhupada was sitting happily in Vrindavan and he was thinking, already I am well situated in Vrindavan, and let me pass my final days in Vrindavan, because that's the desire of every devotee of Krishna, to give up his body in Vrindavan. If Prabhupada had thought about himself selfishly like that, we would not have received the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our lives. We would not have received the holy names of the Lord. So therefore, behind our chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra today, we should always remember, we should never forget the sacrifice of Srila Prabhupada, the sacrifice of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, the sacrifice of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who accepted sannyas at the age of 24 years. All this sacrifice has led to us taking up Krishna consciousness today. So just imagine the Krishna consciousness matchless gift that we have received. It has come at what cost? Every time we think, oh, today if I don't chant, it is okay. You should remember this. For my sake, Prabhupada has made sacrifice. For my sake, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan have made sacrifice. For my sake, the Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made sacrifice by accepting sannyas. And today, if I don't take up Krishna consciousness seriously, there will be no other ungrateful soul than me. I will be so ungrateful towards all these acharyas who have actually taken up so much hardships for my sake. Isn't it? That is why it is so important to always hear about the wonderful activities of our past acharyas who have made tremendous amount of personal sacrifices so that even in this modern age of Kali Yuga, fallen age of Kali Yuga, we can get this matchless gift of Krishna consciousness. Right? So the boy Narada traveled to different places. Let us see the last shloka for today. Text 14. परिश्रान्तेन्द्रियात्माहं तृट्परीतो बभूक्षितः स्नात्वा पीत्वा हृदे नद्या उपस्पृष्टो गतश्रमः. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Narad Muni continued, thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river, lake, and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. Purport. A traveling mendicant can meet the needs of body, namely thirst and hunger, by the gifts of nature without being a beggar at the doors of the householders. The mendicant, therefore, does not go to the house of a householder to beg, but to enlighten him spiritually. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Parishrantaha. Parishranta means being very tired. Indriya means the senses, the body. Atma, here Atma refers to the mind, mentally. Aham, I. Trut, trut means thirst. Trut paritaha means being extremely thirsty because he has traveled a long distance all alone without taking any food and water. Therefore, he was very thirsty. And bhubukshitaha, he was also very hungry. So he was thirsty, he was hungry. Therefore, what did he do? Snatva. Snana means to take bath. Snatva. He took a bath. Pitva. Pitva means he drank water. Hrade. Hrada means from a lake. Nadyaha, of a river. Upasprushtaha, being in contact with, touching the water. Upasprushtaha. Gataha, gata, got relief from shramaha, tiredness. So Narad Muni is saying, when I was traveling, I became very thirsty, I became very hungry, my body and mind both were tired. So I came across a lake in a river, and there I went and drank water. And after contacting the water, I got relief from all kinds of exhaustion. That is what Narad Muni is telling. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that nature has all arrangements for a person's mitigation of thirst and hunger. Especially in the olden days, the sannyasis or the traveling preachers used to walk barefoot. They had to walk long, long distances. There were no modern means of transportation at that time. So they would depend on, the forests, rivers to quench their thirst. They would depend on the fruits that would grow in the forests, the berries and all of that. If you read the Valmiki Ramayana, in the Aranya Kanda, you will find elaborate descriptions where how Lord Ramachandra, when he was accompanied by Mother Sita and Lakshmana, they were traveling in the forest of Dandakaranya. They used to actually eat the berries, the fruits, the roots, kandamula in the forest, and that's how they would actually quench their thirst and satisfy their hunger. Right? So that means simple living and high thinking. That is the highlight of forest life. In the previous yugas, generally people, they would go to the forests as vanaprastha in the third ashram of one's life. Vanaprastha. Vana, going to the vana. What is the purpose of going to vana? Vana, the forest, is naturally in the mode of goodness. It is free from the hustle and bustle of city life, which is full of passion. Therefore, it is more conducive for one to fix his mind in meditation. That is why people in the olden days used to go to jungles, to the forests. In the modern day, you see that people have, destroyed the forests, and city in the cities we see big big buildings. So cities have all become concrete jungles. So therefore, in the modern days, even if you go to outskirts of a city or something, you are always disturbed by phone calls and all such things. Therefore, there is no need to go anywhere. You simply have to sit in your own place and chant Hare Krishna. That's the best yoga. So for the you don't have to go to the forest or Himalayas or some place like that. The best thing to do is to sit in your own place and chant Hare Krishna. Gruhe Thako, Vane Thako, Sadahari Bhule Nako. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, whether you are living in Gruha, in your house, or whether you are going to Vana, forest, doesn't matter. Because ultimately, wherever you go, if you don't forget Krishna, that is the perfection of life. Always you keep chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then it doesn't really matter where you're going. Prabhupada said, going to forest is mode of goodness, living in city is mode of passion. Going to sinful places like slaughterhouses, such places is mode of ignorance. But being in the temple, serving the Lord, chanting Hare Krishna, these are all mode of transcendental goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Therefore, wherever a devotee goes, he can convert that place into Vrindavan by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So we don't have to go to the forest, neither it is practical in this modern age of Kali. But Narada, in his past life, Narad Muni, before he attained perfection, he is traveling through all of these places, and he is, it is as we discussed in yesterday's session. The death of Narad Muni's mother in his past life by snake bite is a divine arrangement of the Lord, so that the boy loses his attachment to the material world and becomes more attached to Krishna. So sometimes Krishna, creates such difficult situations in the life of a devotee to make him more dependent on him, to help him achieve the highest goal, perfection of life. So a lesson for all of us is, when we all say that we are devotees of Krishna, but when we get problems in life, we become immediately unhappy. Oh, why did Krishna do like this? Why did Krishna create this dangerous situation in my life? No, we should actually thank Krishna that, my dear Lord, you are giving me problems so that I become more detached from this material world. I am a foolish person. Even though I have got this Krishna consciousness knowledge, I am still attached to many things in this world. But oh Lord, you are so merciful. You are creating difficulties, difficult situations in my life so that I can become more and more attached to you, giving up my nonsense attachment to temporary material pleasures. So that is how we should pray and thank the Lord. So we should thank the Lord not only in a materially good situation, but in a materially so called bad situation. Also, we should thank the Lord because it is His mercy that He has created. So, nothing can happen in a devotee's life without the Lord's sanction, whether it is so called bad or so called good. Everything is happening by the Lord's transcendental arrangement. So, in the coming shlokas, Narad Muni talks about what he actually did, how he was able to sit down and do meditation as per the instructions that he had received from his spiritual masters, and how he was able to perceive the Lord within his heart, and how all of a sudden the Lord disappears from his vision, and all these things. Why did the Lord disappear from his vision? And what happened after that? All of these will be described in the coming shlokas. We will discuss that in the coming sessions. So I request all of you, today we have a good attendance, very nice. All of you have joined us for the session. Request all of you to please join us every day. uh, for these sessions. Every day, 8 to 9 p.m., we have Srimad Bhagavatam reading and discussion sessions. You can join and please share with your family and friends. They can also join us for the sessions. If you have any questions, one or two questions we can take before we close. Anyone wants to make a comment or ask a question, please unmute yourself and speak.
Just Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Just
Yes,
repeat
Hare
that
Krishna
one.
Pranam.
बने बने था को गृह था को.
Sada Hari Bhule Nako.
हाँ. Oh, okay, okay. Narottama
Yeah.
Das Prabhu,
Bhakti
who
Vinod
quoted.
Thakur.
Oh, Bhakti Vinata.
Yeah,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who is that?
No, this is me only.
Okay. Is there any other question or any comment anyone wants to say something? Okay. Thank you for your valuable time. We shall meet again in the next session. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.